I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot, I've been granted on this planet. Now we're slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. Beat one code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. Beat one thing.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. What's growing on? What is growing on? What is growing on? Welcome to the B1 Ag Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris, and we also have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1 Ag, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, health, food, nutrition, marketing, and economics for the B1 family and the B1 community. Hello, how are you? I hope we find you in a prosperous mind state. I hope we find you just reigning and drenched in abundance and feeling good. Today's topic. We all know about McDonald's. McDonald's has firmly entrenched themselves in the American diet. When I ride around and I look at the lines in McDonald's, I often wonder, do people even cook anymore? McDonald's is definitely feeding America. But in Chicago, they're right now, they're testing at 10 McDonald's, automated drive-through. Artificial intelligence is something that we've talked about a lot, but artificial intelligence is here. It's been here, but amidst this perceived labor shortage, we're seeing it manifest in different ways. Now, so today's story that we're gonna focus on is AI is here. McDonald's testing automated drive-throughs in Chicago, and we're going to take a look at the implications of the use of artificial intelligence, as well as how it will affect us moving forward, especially in agriculture. Farmer Brown, artificial intelligence, automated drive-throughs. What do you think about it, man?
Well, Calvin lost his job. First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 Ag family. Hope everybody's doing well today. We have a beautiful day here in Kentucky. It's about, 78 degrees. So after we get out of here, I'm going to enjoy some of this beautiful sunshine and cool breeze. But this is a very serious topic, y'all. It's a very serious topic. I remember I was in a conference maybe about 2018, and they were they were talking about how 40% of the jobs, anything under $20 an hour, is going to be replaced by AI by 2025. When I attended this conference, this was before COVID. So we see that COVID has amplified and sped up this process of our food system, food distribution, restaurants, being relegated to AI. So right now across the country, one of the waves, people have had time to kind of, be at home. We've had a few government assistance programs to kind of help unemployment, things of that nature. And people are starting to tap in like, okay, maybe I don't want to go just work a job. Maybe I want to start my own business, which we're all for here. all for ownership, all for being productive. But when we think about teenagers, when we think about the story of Calvin, I know a lot of the cats within our age range remember that story of Calvin got a job at McDonald's, moved his way up to manager. That dynamic doesn't exist anymore here in 2021. It's not because there's not a millions of teenagers or young folks around the country that are maybe looking for their first job. Not because it's not hundreds of thousands of people maybe just, trying to find something to make sure they can feed their kids looking for jobs. But, these jobs aren't paying as much. I know there's been discussion about raising the minimum wage. We've watched how the corporations have kicked hard about, well, if we raise minimum wage, then, we're going to have to cut down in other areas. And sad part of that is I think they already had in mind what the alternative to raising minimum wages will be, and this is the AI. When we think about what Chicago represents, a lot of mainstream ideology likes to make it like Chicago's this great jungle and nobody digs deep into what are the economic implications of why the Chicago Chirac that people like to talk about exists. And that has everything to do with economics. And so when you're throwing a system, a dynamic like AI in the mix of something as simple as McDonald's, like I said, we realize this is a starting point or a bridge for a lot of people just, trying to get to the next day. What does this mean when computers are replacing these jobs? Calvin, we have a problem.
We definitely see a problem. I'm pretty sure the executives at McDonald's, they see a solution, but there are definitely problems with AI, the introduction of AI, and there are a lot of problems that we may not even think about readily. But in Chicago, at 10 McDonald's locations, they're testing out this artificial intelligence, and these restaurants are using voice order technology, which right now they're seeing about 85% order accuracy. Only about a fifth of the orders are taken by humans at these locations. Now, over the last decade, restaurants in general, they've been leaning more into technology to improve, not only to improve customer experience, but also to save on labor. Now, the labor issue is a major problem right now, as there is a perceived labor shortage, whether real or perceived. They're saying there's a labor shortage. And judging from my last experience at McDonald's, this labor shortage is real. As far as people taking these low wage fast food jobs and things of that nature, people just aren't. They're not taking these jobs for whatever reasons. Now, although right now there are only 10 McDonald's in Chicago that are participating, their plan is to expand this technology to over 14,000 restaurants across the United States. Now, the big problem with this is that the main problem is the AI being able to distinguish between dialect and menu differences across the country. That's the main problem, especially the dialect. They have to, the artificial intelligence has to be able to distinguish, words with people from different parts of the country. We all say things differently. Like down here, we say soda. Up in Ohio, in the Midwest, they say pop. And in the other parts of the South, it just might be like cold drink. Now, even though these are general words, these general words mean specific products for these people in these different regions. So, with this artificial intelligence, again, it's a solution, but it is a solution that opens up Pandora's box to a whole nother world of problems. So, what we would like to do at this point, I want to show you a short clip, a short video, just talking about exactly what's going on with McDonald's introducing AI to the mix.
As restaurants around the country struggle to find workers, Democrats like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer are using federal dollars to increase entry-level minimum wages. And now companies like McDonald's are pushing back, employing artificial intelligence to keep costs down and replace entry-level workers. Here to react is former CKE restaurant CEO Andy Puzder. Good morning to you. So there's 10 McDonald's locations in Chicago that are testing out artificial intelligence at drive-thrus. So do you think that this could actually be a real trend that continues to possibly take other entry-level jobs away?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, businesses are like any other entity. If you threaten their survival, they will do whatever they can to survive. And with food costs increasing dramatically because of the Biden administration's policies leading to inflation generally, plus wages are going up dramatically because nobody can find employees. The incentive is for people not to work. And when you incentivize people not to work, they don't work. So you really have restaurants facing a crisis and coming out of the pandemic, which put a lot of restaurants out of business. So what McDonald's is looking at, if McDonald's adopts it, it will spread throughout the industry. So it's a real possibility.
Yeah. So if artificial intelligence does get used at restaurants like McDonald's, what group of people does that hurt the most? Because we were told that a $15 minimum wage would be a compassionate solution.
Yeah, that's really just so wrong. Look, there was a study out of Brookings back a few years ago that said if you graduate from high school, get a full-time job, and wait until you're 21 years old to get married, you have a 2% chance of ending up in poverty and a 75% chance of entering the middle class. And the job didn't have to be a white-collar job. It could be a full-time job in a McDonald's or anywhere else. So when you kill these jobs, when you kill these entry-level jobs, when you don't let people get on the ladder of opportunity, the people you're hurting are young Americans, and they've already been hurt. They've already lost a year because of this pandemic. So to hurt them further is insanity. It's economic insanity.
Yeah. How do you feel about the May jobs numbers, 100,000 jobs short of expectations? Do you think that it should be higher at this point?
Really, if you think back to the Trump administration, every time economic data came out, whether it was news or GDP, no matter what it was, the phrase that always showed up in the press releases was exceeds economist expectations, which was a reversal from the Obama era when the economists used to make these very bright predictions as to where the economy was going. Well, we're back to the bright predictions, but reality is not meeting the predictions, and this is going to continue because the economists believe that this government spending actually works, that the government can spend its way to prosperity. We can't spend our way to prosperity. Government spending is not going to do anything permanent. It's not helping create jobs. It's hurting. The policies are hurting job creation. So I think we're going to see this more going forward. And economists are going to keep predicting that Biden's policies will do better than they do.
Yeah, the jobs numbers, I believe, have underperformed for several months in a row. And you got to wonder why. Andy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
I'm B1 to the core. My thing is we're in a world that's constantly competing. You got to represent the team, the jersey that you were born into, and it's our melanated skin. I was kind of perturbed that he politicized this. What he was saying, there was truth in what he was saying. But, just like we're talking about with these farm bills, everything gets politicized, and in this political jargon, the can gets kicked down the road. We heard the elder John Boyd talk about, okay, man, I can't afford another 9 years of waiting to see what's going to happen. I guarantee the top 10% of Democrats, top 10% of Republicans, Green Party, whatever party you want to talk about, is not going to severely be affected by AI, taking these jobs. And when I say the word taking, okay, it's not like you have robots, running up and down the streets to these businesses, jacking people's jobs. There are human beings at the end of the day who are determining whether or not they're going to incorporate AI in their business model. And as a business owner myself, I get it. He made a good point. A business is like any other organism that's constantly trying to survive. But what do we say? Business is war. So in this war of trying to build sustainable communities, especially in the melanated community, we realize not only, and see, this is where it gets tricky for us. we found ourselves as a part of a culture where a lot of, some of us take pride in not being able to cook. Girl, I don't even know how to boil an egg. Bro, I ain't about to cook nothing. I just go up the street and buy something. And so many of us, not all, but many of us, a critical mass of us, are finding ourselves dependent on one of these companies that are saying, hey, I'm going to have to use robots to present your food, since either this administration wants to do this or that administration wants to do this. And so I think it goes so much deeper than politics. Here at B1 Ag, we like to focus our conversation around agriculture, agricultural production. Yeah, AI is very tricky when we're talking about these jobs, but how does this affect the broader agricultural and food system? And so a little bit later, we're going to get into some of the top 11 startups incorporating AI within their models. You can use AI in your crop production, meaning, okay, I can see what kind of crops to put down. I can, measure my soil quality, see what kind of soil I need to put in it. We got these remote controlled tractors. You have these high tunnels where you don't really need labor anymore. You can just, kind of have robotic systems to water and take care of it. With these tractors, you have implements that can harvest, meaning, okay, these are a couple of thousand jobs that are taken away because you now have a machine. When we think about processing, and these are just the mechanical operations, just a few of them. But then I would also ask the viewer to think about, now, do you think a robot is going to be as effective at detecting, okay, is this something that can be sold and consumed by a human being? Okay, I just got this computer code typed into me, and it said, make this burger. Okay, as a robot, I just know, put this burger together, send it, Jetsons. But I didn't see this little fly or this human hair or some, the few people that are working in there, their beard hair inside of this burger. I didn't see this rat turd on this burger. I just, my metrics told me, this amount of what we call beef. We don't even know if it's beef anymore, which is another thing we're going to touch on today. Put the bun, mustard, ketchup. That's cool, right? For somebody that's in a rush, it's easy to kind of look over these details. But what happens when this becomes commonplace? I didn't know it was 14,000 that they're looking to implement this. When you first brought it up, bro, I thought you was going to say maybe 1,000. That's not good, because what McDonald's represents is an archetype for other businesses. There's so many other fast food chains around the country that literally modeled their model based around McDonald's. What did Ray Kroc do? This is what we're going to do. And this is how we got a Wendy's, a Burger King, these burger joints. What did KFC do? This is how you get all of these other chicken joints. And it makes sense as a business. Okay, who's winning? Let's follow their model. And so if McDonald's is being used as an icon of, hey, this is the best way to move forward when it comes to getting people their food fast, this is going to create not only a huge problem with the labor, but it's going to create an ultimate problem with the quality of the food.
And then if you think about it, we've done stories before. We're talking about these companies coming up with automated delivery. Like we have Domino's and Pizza Hut, where they're implementing robots that, basically robots that just deliver food. Instead of paying a driver, you just load up a GPS enabled little motorized robot and it delivers the food. They're even looking into GPS enabled drones delivering pizzas and things like that. So this artificial intelligence is definitely on the fast track to becoming more prevalent in our daily lives when it comes to our food. And that is a fact.
Bruh. And so I'll call, I'm guilty. So sometimes it is more expedient to pay my bill online. And I talk to less human beings. I'm talking to computers. And, some people I meet when I travel, they say I talk funny. I got this Kentucky twang, right? And so I have to repeat myself multiple times. And this is to pay a bill. This is to give you money. And the mechanism you have in place to receive my money don't understand what I'm saying. And so what is this going to say about the quality of the food I'm receiving? Back in 2018, there were reports coming out that AI has a problem with gender and race bias. So once again, these quality issues, when you don't take time to read the headlines and the details of things, it's easy to say, oh yeah, this just seems convenient. You know, I can get my food faster. I ain't got to deal with this person with an attitude at the door. I ain't got to deal with somebody getting my order wrong. But what happens, okay, if you're trying to tell a computer, hey, this isn't what I ordered? You know the problems you have trying to pay a bill online because it doesn't understand your voice. What happens when I'm just trying to go through this drive-through, get my meal, and it doesn't understand your voice? What if you're traveling to another place? And so I imagine AI, okay, in the East Coast, you know, they're going to program it to a more East Coast vernacular. But what happens when you drive up from South Georgia up to New York and try to place an order and it doesn't understand your voice? And so now what would have been a 5-minute process dealing with the human being that got paid is now turned into a 10, 20-minute process because this robot don't understand your vernacular.
And then there's also another aspect of this that it opens up a whole new can of worms, because McDonald's artificial intelligence drive-through bot has also been accused of breaking biometrics privacy law. You know, McDonald's has been accused of illegally collecting and processing customers' voice recordings without their consent in Illinois. That's becoming a problem. You know, the company that has developed this technology, it's in a Silicon Valley company called Apprente, and now McD Tech Labs. You know, they built this voice control chatbot for its drive-throughs. But however, you know, the automated service may be convenient for the company. Shannon Carpenter, who is a resident of Illinois, claims that McDonald's is breaking the law. You know, Illinois has some of the strictest data privacy laws. Its Biometric Information Privacy Act states no private entity may collect, capture, purchase, receive through trade, or otherwise obtain persons or a customer's biometric identifier or biometric information unless it receives written consent. So Carpenter sued McDonald's in April on behalf of himself and all other affected residents of Illinois. He claimed that McDonald's has broken the BIPA by not obtaining written consent from its customers to collect and process their voice data, nor has it explained in its privacy policy how or if the data is stored or deleted. You know, his lawsuit also stated that McDonald's has been experimenting with AI software taking orders at its drive-throughs since last year.
Bro, the other day I had to get another phone because my kids tore my other one up, and I thought I did everything I could to make sure I don't need Siri, I don't need any of that assistance. And I was talking with my kids; they love Paw Patrol, and I was like, I was just being funny with Paw Patrol, and suddenly my phone, Paw Patrol, cartoon, you know. So even with me going through all of these different processes trying to take that off of my phone, it was still there. But when you read the fine print through Facebook, and once again, when we talk about this with agriculture as well, the devil is in the details. And so, because we've gotten so Jetsons minded that, okay, oh, wow, I don't have to give you $1. I can just put my phone up and it'll scan something, or I can just, okay, maybe McDonald's isn't breaking the law. Because if I'm using a device that, okay, the only way this device is going to work is if I hit this I agree button. If you read the details, it's going to say, oh, we're allowed to share your information with third parties. For your phone to work, for this purchasing app to work, you have to agree to me sharing your information with third parties. And so we see how legislating just, you know, giving farmers land or debt relief, something that seems as natural as acorns, has turned into this ridiculous, chaotic arbitration. What does this mean when you're talking about your AI? Because once again, to make these purchases, to make AI efficient, you know, they're not collecting fiat currency. It's going to be more digital. But to activate this digital, you have to put your social security, like everybody, the same way you have a social security number, people that still have those social security numbers, you have an IT or IP address, meaning every device, you can get 1 million different devices, but for your device to work, to link up with your email, because you can't get a Facebook or social media without your email. You can't get an email without some sort of verification oh, we want to protect your identity. And so to protect your identity, you need to give us X amount of documentations or numbers or codes proving that you are who you are. And so once again, it's real easy to get caught in the arbitration of, okay, maybe you can't legally sue McDonald's for this. Even in a place like Chicago, and I'm being funny, but not, I mean, you think about it, you're riding through the drive-through, how many people is conducting business? Maybe business that you don't want other people knowing. And okay, I'm just coming here to pick up a hamburger, a Happy Meal to give to my kids in the back seat. And maybe I'm talking about something else on my phone, and this robot that's, you know, because these machines are constantly taking these biometric measures, your voice, your tone, and what you're talking about. We know there's a list of about 10,000 words that if you say it, it's going to trigger other algorithms to record more. Okay, I heard the word drug. It didn't hear if you said, I got to go pick up mama's medicine from the drugstore. It didn't hear, oh, baby's got a cold. It just heard the word drug, so it justifies me listening more to what you have going on. We got some serious things to think about, and this isn't tinfoil kufi. This is happening in real time. I think it's very interesting that they're running these trials in Chicago, of all places. You would think, okay, I'm running something so new that could possibly be chaotic. You said it's an 85% success rate as far as orders. Why don't you do this in a smaller place where, okay, I ain't going to jam my whole business operation up because something went wrong? You would think something like this, let's do it in a smaller place where the impact, if it goes wrong, wouldn't be as large. But somewhere like Chicago, and, you know, maybe I got your order wrong, but I didn't get what you just said on your phone wrong. I didn't just get your license plate wrong. But I got to see your license plate so I can better tailor your order. I got to get your biometrics so I can know exactly what food you like. I still got the tinfoil kufi on. So once again, who do we say is producing the potatoes, onions, and the potato, onions, and carrots for McDonald's? It's Bill Gates, who owns 260,000 acres of farmland that's producing these potatoes and carrots and onions for McDonald's. Bill Gates. Who's experimenting with medicine for you to be healthy and just live the best life? We don't know how it's going to work, but it'll be healthy. We got to start connecting dots, family. And like I said, this isn't about getting into the conspiracy theories more so than what if you don't want to get immersed in a world where you're completely dependent on these usual suspects producing your food? This is an opportunity, a call to action. Like, man, are we teaching our kids how to at least cook? I remember we grew up, we had home ec. You know, McDonald's was a special treat to us when we were growing up. Like, maybe I get it once every 2 or 3 weeks. I felt special. But when we're making this a staple of how we eat, and when I say McDonald's, I'm saying restaurants, period, fast food, period. Because once again, we understand these restaurants are going to follow what's working. And this is not them being bad. This isn't Illuminati. This isn't Bilderberg. This is, hey, these people don't want to cook for themselves. And so I'm providing a service for these people that don't want to cook for themselves. These people that don't have a relationship with a local farmer that produces healthy food. They trust me to give them whatever it is I'm giving them. And because after X amount of decades, this has just become lifestyle to come to my drive-thru to pick up what it is they eat, I'm going to do what I do. Who are you going to fight? So those of us that haven't learned how to cook, haven't learned how to get relationships with local producers, specifically melanated ones, what you going to do if McDonald's said, well, if you don't give me all your information, I'm not going to deliver your food. And your digital pass or your pass or whatever is revoked. What are you going to do? How are you going to eat when your food is dependent upon a machine?
And then I hate to say this, but I have to talk about it. Now McDonald's talks about the fact that there's a labor shortage as, you know, AI being a viable and solution to the labor shortage. But outside of that, think about how many instances of fighting that we get at McDonald's, as far as people fighting with the employees, sometimes the employees fighting with the customers, or, you know, incidents of violence at the drive-thru between customers and employees. Just last week, this happened just last week at McDonald's. I want to show our audience this. but this is becoming all too frequent. This is happening too much at McDonald's, and this has been going on for a while.
Karen in the wild.
Hey, get out! Touch me! Are you fucking crazy? Okay, don't touch me! Don't touch me! I'll destroy you! Don't let go! Do not touch my boss! You just want to be in the face, bitch! I'll destroy the fuck out, bitch! Get the fuck out, bitch! No! You get the fuck out! Honey, I don't know what's wrong with you. Sorry, I've been up all day. I'm sorry, I know what's sorry. Good. Yes, the bitch. Do not touch my boss! Get out! God assaulted her. She could put you in jail. Go ahead. I don't give a She's got you on Philly and assaulted her. You hit me and her. I don't give a fuck. You could go to prison. Okay, then I'll go to assault and battery. Then I'll go to prison. Do not touch her again. I can go to fucking honey, don't touch my boss again. Whatever. What? Please. Down. What the fuck ever.
Do you see how depraved that lady looked? Do you see how crazy she looked? And if you just Google or YouTube people fighting in McDonald's, and you're gonna see a long list of videos. A lot of these videos have clips just like this, like 30 minutes, an hour long, of people just wilding out in McDonald's, which also lends to another reason for them to go towards AI, because how much fighting are you going to do with the robot?
They're going to send them robotic dogs in.
Exactly. But the just society in itself is turning on itself. And as much as I'm against AI when it comes to my food, especially, it's like, well, I almost can understand why. I almost can understand why. And it's very disheartening at that.
We're watching a society in collapse. Take all emotions out of it, ideologies. We're watching a society in collapse, and it just happens to be occurring at a time when technology is reaching it hadn't reached the apex yet. There's a lot more to go. We still ain't got the hover cars yet. We still ain't got the hover shoes yet. All that's going to come, right? But, here at B1 Ag, I feel like stories like this, knowing a local farmer and purchasing a CSA share wasn't going to stop that woman from, getting into it with those people at McDonald's. But, what do they say? It's better to be prepared than to try to get prepared. We really got to focus on our food system, family. It seems arbitrary. It seems like something that we can just, I ain't got to worry about all that. I got money. I can go to the grocery store. How do we localize our food system for what it's turning into? Like bruh said, if I was a business owner, if I owned that particular McDonald's, okay, well, damn, I don't want this woman suing. I don't want my worker suing me because I didn't protect her. I don't want to have to buy a security guard. Well, damn, she might have caught COVID from this woman that attacked her. And so you have all of these legitimate, and it might just be a handful. It might just been one or two videos that got amplified to justify this is why we need robots. But what does this do to the rest of the millions of people that, okay, I get most of my food from McDonald's or a similar franchise or a similar food operation? This is why we at least have to counter. It's not going to be everybody. Some people, just realistically speaking, aren't going to have access to meet a local farmer. Some people technically couldn't afford a CSA share. But realistically, there are enough of us, if you break down how much money we spend at a fast food joint. Last time I went to a fast food place, I don't think you're going to get anything of that's going to fill you up under $10. You know, any sort of meal, and especially if you're a family, you're easily spending 30, 40 or better. And this is just through a drive-through. So saying that to say that's a CSA box. That's a CSA box. And so once again, a relationship with the farmer within 50 miles of where you're at can at least address some of that. You know, you're not going to address the mental crisis, because people been locked down for a year, whether literally or theoretically. People have been in crisis mode for at least a year, dealing with this planned or pandemic. People's concept of reality, almost like a rug, has been pulled from under them. And so now we're seeing the residue of that. And so images like what you just showed, that's going to continue. And so for those of us that are at least trying to be solution-based, what are some solutions? Do we want computers? Because, you know, we keep seeing all of these stories that's justifying computers coming about. We see, and don't get it twisted, I'm not a Biden supporter, right? But we see whatever side of the aisle you're on, if you're a president, you got some serious issues to deal with. As far as, okay, I'm just trying to maintain order of this nation, this corporation as it is. Okay, melanated family, I know a lot of us is like, no, this is just the corporation, and neither of these parties have anything, you know, they shouldn't be in charge. You know, they stole Turtle Island. They took it from us. Okay, so if somebody came on the TV tomorrow and said, yep, you know what, y'all, you know, we punished Chauvin, you know, we gave you Juneteenth, we disenfranchised the farmers, so you know what, here, take it. We give. Here, take it. What position are we in to run a functional country? You know, take running a functional country out of it. What position are we in to feed ourselves? Or would we eventually need to revert right back to AI? Do we know how to talk with one another to figure out how to procure food from one another? Do we understand the concept of networks? And I know it's a lot of brothers and sisters that do, but in relation to those of us that know how to consume more than produce, that's few far and in between. Are we tapping into networks like Black Farmers Nationwide on Facebook and Instagram? Do we know folks like Malik Yakini up in Detroit who have whole food systems going? Leah Penniman. You know, are we able to tap in with these people and not just, you know, click like and share, but understand how to have a conversation? Hey, I want to purchase some food. How can I get it? Are we tapping into places like Better Buggy? Hey, I like what y'all got going on down there. I'm gonna support you. I want to buy some of your boxes, but can I talk with some of y'all to see how I can maybe franchise this where I'm at? You know, maybe get some of the farmers I work with where I'm at to you know, amplify your business. Here in Kentucky, we have Black Soil KY, and so we have a fulfillment center where rural farmers can come in, bring their produce. We also have a team of chefs that can create pre-prepared meals, freeze them. People, at least within the city, can order them and deliver them. These are all practical systems. But the thing is, we see a lot of changes happening in front of us, and Calvin Calvin's unemployed right now. Calvin is being replaced by a robot. What are we going to do about that? What does this look like for Calvin's granddaughter?
The real questions that require, it's going to require us to come up with our own solutions, because if we wait for the government to come up with solutions, yeah, it's going to be something that looks like artificial intelligence. I'm very curious to what, you know, our listeners think about that. B1 Ag family, how do you feel about artificial intelligence? How do you feel about artificial intelligence, like ordering your food from a robot? How do you feel about a robot preparing your meal? How do you feel about that? Like, that's a real question we all must answer within ourselves. Some people may not care, some people may not mind, but how do you feel about it? Do you trust it? These are questions we all need to answer. Here at B1 Ag, you know, we try to come up with as many solutions. But the main solution we're always going to go to: grow your own food, grow your own food, supplement your own diet. This food is getting strange out here. Go ahead and grow your own food. You know it's real. That's one of the biggest things I learned farming with my grandfather. I know, like I literally know what is in this cow because I fed it. I fed this cow, and I didn't feed it some crap. You know, I fed it grains, and I fed it corn stalks, and I fed it ears of corn. You know, I poured the water that cow drank, so I know this water was clean. You know what I'm saying? It's and and it was a difference. It was a stark difference. When I cooked the hamburger at home from ground beef that came from one of my grandfather's cows to ground beef that I got from the store, there's a huge difference. First of all, when my granddad, we made a hamburger out of my granddaddy's, you know, from cows that we got from my granddaddy, there wasn't a whole bunch of grease coming out of that meat. There wasn't blood coming out of that meat, you know, because blood and grease are two things that these companies and manufacturers, and they add that to the meat to cut weight. You know, they add that to add weight to the meat. It's just like, you know, I hate to use this comparison, but you know, like say it's like adding B12. You know, they're cutting the meat. And sometimes they're cutting the meat with something that, you know, is probably not really all that healthy. Outside of this blood and grease, you know, they're cutting this meat with all kind of stuff.
Israeli's biotech company Future Meat has opened what it claims to be the world's first industrial cultured meat facility.
What does that mean? Tell them to break it down for them. What does that mean, Farmer Brown?
This is lab-grown meat. This facility opening marks a huge step in the Future Meat Technologies path to market, serving as a critical enabler to bring our products to shelves by 2022. CEO Ram Kush said to Plush Blurb. This facility could lay the groundwork for many others like it in the future, particularly in the U.S., where plant-based meat substitutes are already becoming increasingly popular. This company claims cultured meat generates 80% less greenhouse emissions, uses 99% less land, and consumes 96% less water. We're going to go in on that on a whole nother show.
Because this is becoming the norm. We're following the story. It's still developing, but we are actually seeing the fact that these companies are going towards, you know, reducing real meat consumption.
Not companies, the UN, WHO, the world.
Whole world, yes, the whole world. And it's all under the guise of reducing carbon emissions. Okay, well, you know, all these cows, they poop and they fart and they make this methane gas, which goes into the environment and creates an unstable environment. And so we need to stop eating as much red meat as possible in there, you know, to save the earth from carbon emissions. And the solutions that they're offering are often, like I said, again, artificial. It all goes back to artificial or plant-based. But then, okay, plant-based, that sounds healthy, but what kind of plant is it? Is this plant really safe for human consumption? You know,
Is it filled
soybean.
with atrazine? Is it filled with herbicides that's going to make you grow 4 eyes and stop being what you were born?
Or is it, you know, will I develop Parkinson's disease in 10 years from eating this stuff?
We got to for you if that happens.
B1 Ag family. This is good. This is definitely a conversation we will be revisiting repeatedly as we see the government and the world trying to install these changes into our diet in the under the banner of building a better world?
I hate to say it, bro. Playing devil's advocate, what is our alternative? We've become, and not when I say we, I don't like to throw us all in one bowl, but overall, the majority, and I'm just talking in the West, Turtle Island, the U.S. The majority of us are consumers over producers. The majority of us will prefer to get our food, the thing that is supposed to empower our human bodies, our organic, natural bodies. We would prefer to get it faster than to wait the whole process of actually preparing it. How do you counter it? If everywhere you go to eat says, we're just going to get this lab grown meat because it's cheaper and it's better on the environment. What is your response to that? Do you just deal with it? Here at B1 Ag, we definitely don't have the answers. We have possible solutions. We hope to continue this conversation. We hope that you're having this conversation in your home. I say it's funny. I smile to keep from frowning, but this is real, y'all. I was presenting to a group of kids this past week. And, I'm in my mind, I'm like, how many of y'all would like to eat? What do y'all think about lab-grown chicken nuggets? And the majority of them smiled and said, "Yeah, that sounds cool." And this is probably the 5th class I've asked that to, and they say, "Yeah, this is cool." We're many of us are losing the essence of why we eat in the first place. We're losing our relationship and connection to what we call Mother Earth, Tierra Madre, to the planet. Are we really ready to become Jetsons?
That's a real question, B1 Ag family. But if you are interested in growing your own food, if you do care about what you put in your body, here at B1 Ag, we are advocates of farming and gardening. And you can also get Black to the Garden with us. Go to healthyblackfood.com and you can learn how to grow your own food. We're trying to educate as many people, at least inform people as much as we can about current agricultural news, issues, and things that's going on. Please subscribe to B1 Ag Daily Bread Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, share. Let's get this word around because this is very important. They're they're changing our diet right before our eyes. And, this isn't like we're voting on this. We don't have a say in it. They're just implementing it. And these are implementations that they want to put in for long term, and they have not studied or tested the long-term effects. So as they're implementing these new things, we in turn become lab rats as they study us to see, okay, we'll see how this food affects them. We're becoming lab rats.
What is the destiny of a lab rat? Whether the experiment goes horrible or goes well, what's the destiny of a lab rat? Have you ever seen a lab rat out in nature? I worked, one of our homeboys used to work at one of the university research facilities here in Kentucky. And they had monkeys. They were researching monkeys, and they would talk about how they would be throwing dead monkeys away.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's only destination I can see of a lab rat is death. Either death because whatever was tested on them killed them, or death because, okay, we don't need you anymore. It's a lot to think about. And I hope our B1 Ag family, we can come up with some solutions for ourselves because I personally just don't rely or can trust anybody else to think for me, especially when it comes to food. I'm sorry. I just can't. And also, if you do have any questions for us, you can always hit us up at b1aghiphop@gmail.com. We'd love to see pictures of your garden or you and your family out enjoying nature or your garden or somebody's farm. You know, we need to normalize the visuals of us interacting with nature again, to normalize the visuals of us participating in agriculture, growing our own food, and also enjoying real food while it's still here to be enjoyed. But at the end of the day, as we always say, knowledge is key. But if you really want to know something, if you want to get insight, if you want to tap into that ancient knowledge, if you want to learn more, even though we're growing food, you're going to learn more than about growing food. There are a lot of things that you'll pick up like, wow, that made me think. I learned something. I didn't expect to learn this by growing some tomatoes. So if you really want to know something, what do they have to do, Farmer Brown?
Work on building your local food system and learn how to grow something.
There it is. B1Ag family. I thank you again for sitting through another Daily Bread podcast. Be on the lookout. Again, check us out. B1Ag Daily Bread podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and share. Let's get this word out here. Let's build this platform because, hey, I love food. You love food. We all love food. We got to eat food. Let's make sure that we are definitely and consciously ingesting real food. That's that daily bread. Y'all take it easy. Thank you again. We'll be coming back soon. I'm John Henry Harris. And then we have Farmer Brown, the MC. And we'll catch you next time. Peace out.